34 resistance-trained men, 8 weeks. Both groups lifting, both groups eating around 3,000 calories a day. Same macros, roughly the same carbs, the same fat, the same protein. The only thing that separated them was when they were allowed to eat. One group ate normally, across the day. The other ate inside an 8-hour window and fasted for 16. The protocol the entire internet swears by. 8 weeks later in the fasting group, testosterone down 21%, IGF-1 down 13%, T3, the active thyroid hormone that sets your metabolic rate, down 11%. In the group that just ate normally, none of it. No significant change. Nobody here was starving. Nobody was on a crash diet. These men were eating almost 3,000 calories a day and still lifting heavy. And their endocrine system responded like there was a famine anyway. So if that's what happens to trained men eating 3,000 calories, what do you think is happening to the person doing 16 to 8 on 1,200 calories, black coffee, and a workout they can barely finish? That's what this video is about. Let's be fair to fasting first, because the pitch is genuinely seductive. You're told that if you stop eating for long enough, your body starts cleaning house. Autophagy. Cells break down damaged proteins, clear out the junk, recycle the broken parts. It sounds like a reset button. And the number one reason so many people starve themselves all day is that word right there. You're told your insulin stays low, so your body has no choice but to burn fat. You're told you'll become metabolically flexible. You're told breakfast was invented by cereal companies. You're told hunger is discipline, and that the discomfort is the point. None of this is completely made up. Autophagy is real. It's a constitutive quality control pathway. Your cells are doing it continuously, right now, while you're watching this. But that's exactly the problem with how it gets sold to you. It's presented as a switch that only fasting can flip. It isn't. And the thing that actually flips it hardest is the thing most fasting advocates never mention. Hold that thought. We'll come back to it, because it's the punchline. Back to those 8 weeks. And I'm going to give you the whole result, not just the half that suits my argument, because the honest version is more useful to you. The study is Moro and colleagues, published in the Journal of Translational Medicine in 2016. 34 trained men, 17 per group, 8 weeks, both groups on the same resistance training program. And here's what the fasting group got right. Fat mass dropped 16% against under 3% in the normal group. Muscle mass was maintained. Maximal strength on bench and leg press was maintained. Adiponectin went up. TNF-alpha and IL-1 beta, 2 inflammatory markers, came down. That's a genuinely good set of outcomes. If you stop reading there, 16 to 8 looks like a clear win, and that is exactly where every fasting influencer stops reading. Now the rest of the same results table. Testosterone, from 21.26 down to 16.86. IGF-1, from 217 down to 189. T3, from 83 down to 74. All three statistically significant. In the group that just ate normally, none of these moved. One more number, because someone will bring it up. The fasting group did eat slightly less, about 2,826 calories a day against 3,007, roughly 6%. Hold on to that, because it's the whole point. A 6% difference in food does not buy you a 21% drop in testosterone. The calories don't explain the hormones. Something else did. This wasn't a starvation study. The energy was there. The food was there. The training was there. The variable that moved was the clock, and 3 separate hormonal systems registered it as a threat. So fasting isn't useless. That's not the claim. The claim is that it charges you for what it gives you, in a currency nobody quotes you up front. And the next section is how that bill gets paid. Now, run the obvious extension. Take that same protocol and give it to someone who is in a deficit, which describes almost everyone who takes up fasting because they took it up to lose weight. Add a job, poor sleep, and training 4 days a week. Your thyroid and your hormones do not care about your spreadsheet. They don't read your macro tracker. They respond to one question only. Is there enough energy available right now to run this body at full output? When the answer is no, and a 16-hour gap is a very loud no, the body does something specific. It doesn't break, it adapts. And the way it adapts is the whole reason you feel the way you feel. Here's the part nobody explains, so pay attention. This is the engine room. Your pituitary makes TSH. TSH tells your thyroid gland to make T4. T4 is a prohormone. On its own, it's largely inactive. It doesn't do much of anything until it gets converted. That conversion happens mostly in your liver and kidneys, through a family of enzymes called deiodinases. One of them, D1, strips an iodine atom off T4 and turns it into T3, the active form, the one that actually enters your cells and binds to thyroid receptors. T3 is what sets your metabolic rate. T3 is your body temperature, your gut motility, your energy, your hair. But there's a second door. The same conversion machinery can take T4 and turn it into reverse T3 instead. Reverse T3 is structurally almost identical to active T3 and biologically inert. It fits the receptor. It just doesn't turn it on. It's a key that fits the lock and won't turn. And while it's sitting in there, the real key can't get in. So what decides which door T4 goes through? Energy status, stress, inflammation, recovery. When energy availability drops for long enough, two things move at once, and both move the wrong way. D3, the enzyme that makes reverse. T3 goes up. D1, the enzyme that normally clears reverse T3 out of circulation, goes down. You're producing more of the inactive form and clearing less of it at the same time. Low T3, high reverse T3. Thyroid activity shut down at the tissue level. The hormones are being made. They're just stuck. The research calls this altered deiodinase activity. In plain language, your body pulled the emergency brake on your metabolism, on purpose, because you convinced it that food was scarce. Elevated reverse T3 isn't a thyroid disease. It's a receipt. It's a record of where the system has been taking damage. Now the cruel part. You go to the doctor. You describe the fatigue that sleep doesn't fix, the cold hands and feet, the hair thinning, and check the outer third of your eyebrows while you're at it. The constipation, the brain fog where the word you want is right there and won't come. The workouts you don't recover from. They run a thyroid panel. TSH comes back at 1.8. Textbook, normal. You're told everything is fine. Here's why that happened. TSH answers exactly one question. Is the pituitary signaling the thyroid to produce more hormone? That's it. That's the entire scope of the marker. It says nothing about whether T4 is being converted to active T3 at the tissue level, and the pituitary reads T4, not the T3 availability inside your cells, so T4 looks adequate, the pituitary is satisfied, TSH stays calm. Meanwhile, the tissue that needs the T3 is running in low power mode. A person can have a perfectly normal TSH and be functionally hypothyroid at the cellular level. This isn't fringe medicine, it's thyroid physiology, and reverse T3, the marker that would show you this, is not on a standard panel. Nobody ordered it, which is how people stay stuck for years, being told their labs are fine while their body temperature sits low and their metabolism runs like dial-up. There's one more clue that's been sitting on ordinary blood work the whole time, and almost nobody reads it. The sodium to potassium ratio on a standard CMP. Roughly 31 to 34 is where you want it. Above 34 is the wired but exhausted pattern. Sympathetic dominance, chronic cortisol output. Anxious, overstimulated, crashing mid-afternoon, unable to switch off at night, and slowly losing thyroid conversion despite normal labs. Below 31 is the other end. That's burnout. Low resilience, low blood pressure, dizzy when you stand up, craving salt, mornings that feel impossible. Same ignored line on the same blood test. So let's name what's really happening to the person who's been doing this for years. Living on 1,200 calories, fasting 20 hours, cutting carbs because an influencer called them a villain. You're not healthy because you can survive on crumbs. You're metabolically adapted to chronic deprivation. Those are different things. Your body temperature drops. Your hormones crash. Your training performance falls apart. Your energy is gone, and you cannot lose fat anymore without eating even less. So you eat even less, and the brake gets pulled tighter. That's not a fat loss plateau. That's a body doing exactly what you trained it to do. Run this organism on the smallest possible amount of energy. You've become exceptionally good at undereating. That's the skill you built. And when reverse T3 shows up elevated on a panel, people treat it like a thyroid problem. It's usually not. It's a stress adaptation problem. Before you touch the thyroid, you find the stressor driving the adaptation. Energy status, inflammation, nutrient sufficiency, sleep, recovery, total load. The thyroid is rarely the root issue. It's the gauge, and people keep trying to fix the gauge. Now back to that promise from the beginning. You wanted autophagy. You wanted metabolic flexibility, better glucose control, a healthier metabolism. You had two options the entire time. Option A, starve yourself all day, call it fasting, sacrifice lean tissue, reduce your energy availability, and then convince yourself that being hungry is a metabolic health intervention, while your T3 craters and your thyroid quietly takes the hit. Option B. Go lift heavy weights. Resistance exercise creates mechanical and metabolic stress that activates AMPK, mTOR, FOXO, and the autophagy and metaphagy pathways. It creates a seemingly paradoxical cellular environment, quality control and remodeling switched on, while mechanical tension and amino acids simultaneously activate mTOR signaling and drive muscle protein synthesis. Remove the damaged components, then rebuild. That's the full loop. That's a remodeling signal, not just a cleanup crew. Resistance training creates more autophagy than fasting does, and it gives you something fasting structurally cannot: a direct stimulus to maintain and build the muscle that does your glucose disposal for you. So people will spend 18 hours avoiding food because they read that fasting turns on autophagy, while ignoring that muscle is one of the most metabolically important tissues they own, and that fasting is actively destroying it. One option requires hard work and being uncomfortable in the gym. The other is a lazy person's tool where you just don't eat, under the guise that it has health benefits. Seems like an easy choice. Here's the standard nobody's selling you, because there's no product in it. Strong enough to burn fat, healthy enough to use carbohydrates, flexible enough to thrive in either environment. Not a metabolism that survives on the least amount of energy possible, one robust enough to handle abundance. That's the actual goal. Those are opposite directions, and most of the internet has you walking the wrong way. Your metabolism isn't a campfire that burns forever after you light it once. It's a furnace. It needs fuel. Give it enough quality energy, enough movement, enough muscle, enough sleep, and enough nutrients, and it gets remarkably good at doing the thing it was built to do. Your body isn't broken because you ate carbohydrates. It's struggling because you spent years chronically under-eating, crash dieting, overtraining, sleeping 5 hours, living on caffeine, and then wondered why your metabolism feels like it's running on dial-up. Carbohydrates aren't the enemy. Calories aren't the enemy. Physiology has never been the enemy. Fad diets come and go every few years. Human physiology hasn't changed much in hundreds of thousands of years. Food isn't your enemy. A dysfunctional metabolism is. So if you're in this, here's where it starts. Stop treating food like a moral failure. Stop confusing an eating disorder with discipline. Eat enough to run the body you're asking to perform. Get the data instead of guessing. Not just TSH. Free T3, reverse T3, and the sodium to potassium ratio that was already on your last blood test. Those 3 lines will tell you more about why you feel like this than another supplement ever will. Lift heavy things. Build the tissue that makes the whole system work, and take your body temperature in the morning. It's free, it takes 30 seconds, and it's the most honest metabolic marker you own. It doesn't care what your tracker says. We test, we don't guess. If this reframes something for you, subscribe. The next one is on why women get told their thyroid is normal while every symptom says otherwise.